Hi, thanks for joining me again on these videos. So today I'm going to show you how to debug the Google Cloud Functions on Webstorm. So we've got our front end running on here, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to kill the Google Cloud Functions running on the terminal here, and we're going to go to Webstorm and set it up so that we can debug what's going on. Firstly, we're going to go in to look at some of the code here. So when we start Google Cloud Functions framework, then it's going to be something like this, where we pass in Google Cloud Functions framework, and that's going to by default look at the index.js file. So when we want to debug things, then we have to use node inspect, and I specify custom port here. And then we pass in the full file that's going to run. So the functions framework, if we just go into node modules here and go to @Google Cloud Functions Framework. So in here there's a build, source, and index.js file, and this is what does all the stuff that goes on in the background. And this path here, build, source, index, is specified in a package JSON with the main reference, like that. Okay, so in order to debug in WebStorm, we can go to debug run configurations, and I'm just passing in here what I showed you earlier on the package JSON file, but we're doing it in WebStorm because sometimes I just find it's more stable. If I use Chrome tools, sometimes it's not as stable. So we pass in this path here to the index file, and we've got a current working directory, which is this one. And we use target API, which is the name of the function that's exported from the index file. And then we have our data store emulator path as well, which is then used within the functions framework and our Google Cloud project. So let me just show you what's going on here. So the index file, which is by default run, is exporting this file here, API.js, and this file is exporting this object called API, and that's what we're passing into the output like this. This is going to be what is being used to debug. So what we can do is we can put a breakpoint in like this, and when we hit this API from our front end, then it'll go into here. So if we go here, right, and we're on the home page, let me just take you back over to what is going on the Svelte app. So on home, we can go find it. So it's almost more difficult when you're trying to explain the front end and the back end at the same time. So let's go to our Svelte file. So we have an index Svelte here. I used to call it Svelte, but actually it's supposed to be Svelte. So this is what gets rendered when we go to this page here. So we're loading this file, and we import the API, and we're going to do this API get tags. So what we'll do is we'll just put a breakpoint in the browser here, and then we've got our breakpoint which will run in WebStorm for the Google Cloud stuff. Bear in mind also, Svelte has its own Node.js processes running as well for things like pre-rendering and that kind of stuff. So there's another complication in there. But let's just start with this file here right now. Okay, so we're going to open up DevTools, and we're going to load up the home Svelte. So let's go home.svelte. Alright, I'm on the wrong tab. Bear with me. At one point I'm upgrade this and I can get a bigger screen so you can see things better. So we're going to look for our home.svelte, which is not here. Okay, that's good. Am I running this on the correct mode? I don't think I am. Nope. Why is that not working? So I'm running in a sort of distribution mode. I've seen this before. So after playing around a little bit, I discovered it wasn't my imagination. What I had to do was actually upgrade Sapper because there was some problems with the source maps were broken. So now that we've upgraded Sapper, then we've just done an upgrade from there to there, and I restarted the server here. Ignore this because I've killed the process in Webstorm. So we're going to go to Webstorm and we're going to close this and we're going to run this project here, make sure it's running. So I'm going to restart it. Yeah, I'll just restart it and unpause it there. I'll go to the console, kill the console, restart it here with the upgraded version of Sapper now. There we go, looks good. And we're going to go here and we're going to see this thing running, hopefully. And I've got all the source files and stuff in here like this. Right, so we've already seen this file before in the Svelte for Dummies. So let's just go into the home component now. Right, and we're going to put a breakpoint on here. And we're also going to put a breakpoint on here too. Or just one other breakpoint that I want to add. Because we've put a breakpoint in here, we want to focus on one part of the application at a time instead of getting API calls from other parts of the application. Even though on the home component we've got a import API here and we're calling it for tags, because this here will be called after the main component main view is rendered, and that's got an API call from the articles here, not just the tags. So we're going to have to put one in there too. So if you go to components and then there's this thing called main view, and then here's an article list, and in the article list we're actually calling the API. For the tags export a tag variable, and the tags variable is updated from the index component, which I'll show you. So if you go here, okay, the home component, you can see that there's a tags component here, and the tags is actually referenced up here, and we populate it from the API call here. If we go into the tags component, we can see that there's no API calls, but we're exporting this tags variable, which would populate from other component. Kind of neat, isn't it? The way you can just do that. No more Redux, React, loads of boilerplate. It's just so intuitive. One of the things I absolutely love this framework. Anyway, so let's go to our articles list here, right? And then let's just put a breakpoint in here and see how it works. Right, so let's get to debugging this articles component. I've put a breakpoint in the index Svelte file that is in the articles list, and what it's going to do is going to come down to here, and we're just going to look at what happens when we call the API to get the articles. So let's refresh the page. Okay, so I'm going to press F8. Of course, remember you can look at the code to see exactly what API.get is doing. Basically, it's a fetch command. I'm going to press F8. Okay, and then once it fetches it, it's going to come into my... Oops, sorry, I forgot to start the debugger. Just to remind you, on the Webstorm, we have this debug settings here. Right, so let's go and restart debugger. Right, so we'll probably get the old request coming through. You have to click refresh. Okay, so we'll just continue from here. Press F8. Right, so let's go through this. It's probably two pendings, but we'll just go through it as this one here. Right, so we've got all there is the request and response. So you can go in here and inspect all the variables come through okay, really nicely. Right, so then we're going to go to the router.route, and then that's going to, for the path, it's going to take us to the router function. So for a get request for articles, then it's going to call the handler for this one here. So I'm just going to press F8 and we'll come in here, and then it's going to get the articles. There's a class in here that gets all the stuff for you. Step into it. It's a data source, and this is going to use a local data store. Sometimes you have to restart it to make sure it's running nicely, otherwise it'll be pending and you'll be sitting here wondering why there's no data coming back. So that's going to run, and then it's going to go in and get the data for us, and it's going to return these articles. So let me just step through these, get to the first async here. So we're going to go here, it's going to get the articles. Okay, there's a bit of a mixture between the old ones and the last request, which unfortunately happens sometimes. Anyway, for one of the requests that the browser sent off, we get these 0 articles, which is what I expect because I haven't populated the database yet. So it's going to return a result back with nothing in it. And then the browser, hopefully, is going to give us this empty array. And that's how you do debugging in functions. In the next video, we're going to talk about how the user signs up and signs into the client using the same code. I hope that was not too difficult for you. It took me a while to get the hang of it, how to do this debugging. One other thing I'll show you is that if you don't like to use Webstorm, you can use it in Chrome. So you use the same settings and you use this emulate functions command that I've created here. And you can do that if you just go to down here, and I'll run npm emulate functions, and you can do the same debugging on the Chrome browser. And the reason that I've kind of used Webstorm now is that I find that sometimes the process and node debugging in Chrome is a bit flaky and it stops, and I have to keep having to restart it down here, and it gets kind of annoying. But I'll just show you the principle works. So you have to add in the correct endpoint to what you're using. So I'm using 8002, and I'll make sure that's inside of the command here, inspect on 8002. Then if that's done correctly, it should give me in the sources this path here. And so we can go in here and we can do all this stuff, right? So let's just do the refresh on that page again. And we can see it's come in here. I prefer debugging in here, but sometimes, as I say, it sort of just dies on me. But it seems to have worked okay this time. So I might just continue using that and then go back to Webstorm if it stops working. So let's just see if we can get the same result again without it shutting on me. Right, sorry, it's wrong. Breakpoint. Refresh the page again. Okay, it seems to be working. Okay, we'll run ahead with Chrome in the next video, and then revert back to Webstorm if we don't manage. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too fast for you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.